What's up guys, Chandler here with Rise Magic, and yeah, I know every single YouTuber says what's up guys for the intro, but you know that Grant and I actually reply to every single one of our comments. So if you have any questions about this video, if you're looking for advice, or you just want to tell me how your day went, please comment below and we will reply to everything. But putting that aside, today we are talking about failure. More specifically, what to do if you happen to mess up a trick in front of your friends, your family, or some spectators at a paid gig. It can be an absolutely stressful and awful situation, but Grant and I have over 10 years of experience, and we believe that our experience performing magic leads us to be able to give you great advice on how to handle the situation. So be sure to stick around for the whole video for some great stories I'm going to tell, and you will see exclusive video of me absolutely messing up entirely in front of a spectator. So let's hop right into what you should do if you happen to fail.
Whoa, Chandler. Now before we get into this footage of you messing up, let's go over on how to actually avoid messing up in the first place. Because the best way to recover from messing up is to not mess up in the first place. Now, I've been doing magic professionally for about 8 years, and in all my professional gigs, I can probably count the amount of times I've messed up on one hand. Now, I'm not saying this to be arrogant or anything, but that's just what comes with being a professional. People don't hire singers who miss notes, and basketball players who miss dunks don't really make an NBA unless you're JaVale McGee. But getting into it, this is going to be a craft, your art. It's something that you have to take pride in. Now, whenever I learn a trick, I don't just go out and perform it to someone the day after I learn it. I'll take my time with it. When I first started learning magic, I had a really good friend who taught me. His name was Young. He told me that any time that I was going to learn a trick, he wanted me to do it for a month on my own without showing it to anyone, before even showing it to my family or anyone else. I listened to him. So even the first double lift, something as easy as a force mind read trick, I would take that, practice it in the mirror, practice in my room, and keep on doing it over and over and over again, and practice it every single day for just a little bit of time for a whole month before I even showed it to anyone else. And oftentimes he would have me show the trick to him after I practice it and say whether or not he thought it was good enough. Now, not all of you might have a friend who's able to do this for you, but just be that for yourself. Film yourself doing a trick. Review it with a microscope afterwards to see if there's any flashes or anything that could potentially be wrong about the trick. And then after you are fully confident in the trick, then go out and perform it and start practicing it in front of an actual crowd. Now, I will say we are all humans. We all do mess up. There have been times where just things out of your control and you mess up a trick or you forget, and that's okay. And that's what we're gonna be going over with Chandler later on, is how to actually recover from those. But before anything else, practicing the trick, mastering it, having it be your craft, and really taking pride in what you're doing, not just learning a trick and going and performing it in school and messing up in front of one the next day. That's what's gonna make the biggest difference. Now, back to Chandler.
All right, Grant, we get it. I completely agree too. You have to practice a ton. You have to make sure you're prepared to perform your tricks. But there still can be times when everything hits the fan at the same time. You could have an unruly spectator, you could have a lapse in concentration, or a gimmick could break. Now in this situation, there are many things you could do to help yourself. The first and most important thing you need to keep in mind is that magic is a mystery. The plot line of magic is not something that spectators already know, and you can use this to your advantage. They don't know how the trick is going to end up. They don't know the storyline or the process of the trick. So if you happen to mess up at some point, they don't know what you know. They don't know that you messed up. There is a huge difference between messing up and the audience knowing that you messed up, and messing up and just being able to keep it to yourself and using some impromptu skills, just redirect the trick. There are many ways you could go about this, transferring the plot in the middle of a trick. Let's say you realize you messed up and another spectator seems very interested in the same group. You could be like, you know what? Let's do this trick for him actually. And just switch who you're doing the trick for and have them pick a new card so you can start over or something like that. Or let's say you had your big reveal and nothing happened and you messed up. Depending on how your performance persona is, You could play this off with 2 simple phrases. You could be like, that would have been crazy though. And everyone would be like, oh, he just played me. Or you could say, oh, that would have been too easy. We'll do something else. Just basically not acknowledge the fact that you failed and playing it off as a joke that you failed can save you from having the audience be aware that you actually failed. Now, besides just changing the plot line and using your own patter and conversation to save yourself, there are some logistical fail safes you can add into your magic routining to save yourself if you happen to mess up. The first would be trying to classic force everything. Now, I'm confident in my classic force. Depending on the type of spectator, I feel like I can hit it about 90% of the time. But a way you can get better at the classic force and give yourself a fail safe if you were to mess up is to try the classic force on every trick, even if you don't need it. This way you can know the card. The same thing can be said for peeking the card. There's lots of peeks you can learn. So if you know the card already, there's not really a way you can mess up the trick because you can mess up the big reveal. You can always transfer it into a mind reading presentation. Now, my favorite fail safe is the invisible deck. I never leave my house without it. I believe it's the best magic trick in the world. But along with being the best magic trick in the world, it also is a fantastic fail safe. If you have an invisible deck on you and a normal deck, whatever trick you might have to be performed with your normal deck, if you might mess it up, you have a backup plan, and that is the invisible deck. And like I said, if you combine that with switching the plot line when you mess up, like I said at the beginning, you can make an even better magic trick in the first place. Now, like I promised, here is the video of myself messing up. But here's some context. We were filming the tutorials for the last man standing trick and the Magnus trick that day. About 3 weeks prior to filming those tutorials, I had broken my left thumb filming the video review for the Mako playing cards. I also dislocated my shoulder, but that was doing okay. I could still do magic, but I was worried about my ability to perform sleight of hand with my left hand because of my broken thumb. However, the 2 tricks we were doing tutorials on, the Magnus trick and last man standing, did not require for me to do any intense sleight of hand. Not intense, but like a pass. So we're done filming the tutorials, and a nice kind lady on her lunch break asks to see some magic because she saw Tara with the camera and myself performing. So I get into it. I'm performing, we're having a great time, and I go into a triumph routine. At this point, I had forgotten about my broken thumb, and while I'm performing the routine, I execute a pass, slam the cards into my thumb, and execute the pass using the thumb, and right then and there, you can see that I am in a world of hurt. I am flustered, I am sweating, I am in so much pain because I forgot that my thumb was broken, and I couldn't do a pass. But I did one anyway, and I am writhing in pain while trying to play it cool and not be like, oh, I just broke my thumb doing a pass. So I just continue on with the trick anyway, even though I'm very distracted, I'm sweating, I'm not feeling good. I want to ice my hand down. It's awful. I need to put my brace back on. And because I was so distracted, I just messed up the triumph. At this point, you can see that I say, I'll spread out the cards and one card will be upside down, and no cards are upside down. That's not good. However, pay close attention because what you can see that I do is I play it off. It's like, oh, well, you know what? Let me read your mind. Just in one smooth piece of conversation. And I go right in from that failure to a mind reading presentation. Just, you know how to do that, right? Now, if you were to go talk to that lady afterwards, she wouldn't even tell you that I messed up because of the way I played it off and just went on. I didn't acknowledge that there even was a mistake. I just moved on to the next trick. And that, I believe, is the most important skill you can learn in the awful situation where you might happen to mess up. Now, I don't want you to be fearful of messing up. It's a good respect to have because it will make you practice more. But in the end, worst case scenario, you mess up and all these things we just said, it doesn't work out, okay? And you messed up. I'm more nervous about performing for my friends and family than random strangers. If it's random strangers and you're just outperforming, who cares? Really, who cares? They're never going to see you again. Just live and learn. There's nothing to worry about. There's no actual consequences. Now, like I said, if you're performing for a paid gig, there might be some consequences, like, they might mention it to the host. But if you're performing for a paid gig, like Grant and I said, you should be very practiced, very well you know, endowed in magic and be able to handle a mistake in a way where they're not aware of it. Now let me end this video with some motivation. All right, mistakes can be your biggest opportunities. So I was a senior in high school, okay? And I had a study hall every single day at a certain period of the day. My teacher in that study hall, the proctor, loved magic. He knew that I did magic, and every single day at the end of the study hall, he would come to me and ask to see a brand new trick. This was an awesome experience for me. It helped stretch my creativity to come up with a brand new trick every single day. But, you know, at some points, there's, 180 school days. You gotta do some variations. So I was doing a variation on a trick where you pretend like you're reading their pulse to find the card. Now, for this trick to work, he was allowed to shuffle the cards, but he shuffled them about 4 times, which lost my, let's call it a stack, okay? So I didn't realize that I shuffled 4 times, so when I spread the cards out, I was screwed. This was about 3 years ago now. So I messed with the trick, I got the card wrong, but this teacher was so used to me faking mistakes for tricks. You know when you say, oh, is this your card? They're like, no, you would shake, change, whatever, and now it's their card. So he's so used to me doing stuff like that, that he's like, Chandler, I know there's more to this. And I'm like, no, Mr. Del Prado, I actually messed up. I actually just messed up. He doesn't believe me. The whole class doesn't believe me. I leave the study hall. Right when I get into the hallway, I immediately call Grant and say, you know where Mr. Del Prado lives, right? And Grant goes, yeah. I need you to put the Queen of Spades in his mailbox. Right from there, Grant goes right to his house, puts the Queen of Spades in his mailbox. Not less than 4 minutes later, I walk back into the classroom and say, Mr. Del Prado, you swore up and down that you thought I didn't actually make a mistake, right? He goes, yeah. There's more to it? I'm like, yeah. Call your wife. Tell her to check the mail. He freaks out, calls his wife in front of the whole class. She checks her mailbox, and just like that, one of the greatest magic tricks I've ever performed. In fact, I happened to run into this teacher when visiting my old high school. The first thing he said 3 years later was, the best magic trick I've ever seen in my whole life was when you put a card in my mailbox. That would have never happened if I didn't mess up. So, you need to take your mistakes, and you can redirect them into wonderful opportunities. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just as like a channel update, Grant is now working in New York. I am going to college in Virginia. So this channel will continue. We will still be producing weekly videos, but that's why we're in different locations right now. All right, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this video useful. We would really appreciate it as it helps us grow and it helps feed my body, and I'm very hungry and I need money to eat food.
And I've been trying to dig my way out of the ocean and punch a hole in the sky and float the